Last Tuesday morning, a woman named Carol stood in the checkout line at her local grocery store and watched the number on the register climb. Chicken, bread, a bag of apples, 2 pounds of butter, a dozen eggs, some canned beans. Nothing extravagant, nothing wasteful. Just the ordinary food a family of 4 needs to get through a week. The total came to $187. She paid it. She loaded the bags into her car, and somewhere on the drive home she did the math. $187 a week. That is $748 a month. $8,976 a year. On groceries. Carol is not irresponsible with money. She clips coupons when she remembers to. She buys the store brand on most things. She does not buy fancy olive oil or imported cheese or name brand cereal. She buys ordinary food for ordinary meals, and she spends nearly $9,000 a year doing it. Now I want to tell you about a different kind of household. No different in size, no different in appetite. A family of 4, same as Carol's, eating 3 meals a day, packing lunches, feeding children who are hungry after school. Their grocery bill last month was $310. Not because they are eating less, not because they are going hungry, not because they have a farm or a root cellar or a chest freezer the size of a sedan, because they are using a set of purchasing, storing, and preparing habits that were standard practice in American households a generation ago and have quietly disappeared, and that the Amish communities of Lancaster County, Holmes County, and Shipshewana have never stopped using. Those habits are not complicated. They do not require a farm. They do not require canning equipment or a pantry the size of a room or a lifestyle overhaul. They require knowing which 6 things to change about the way you currently shop, store, and cook. I am going to show you all 6 today, and I will tell you right now, number 4 is the one that will feel the most counterintuitive, and it is the one that saves the most money. Stay with me. Who this is from my name is Jacob Mercer. I run Jacob's Farmstead on a 1/4-acre property in the Midwest. But today's video is not about growing food. It is about buying it, storing it, and using it the way families did before the modern grocery system trained us out of every habit that kept food bills low. I spent 3 years talking with Amish families in Lancaster County as part of a project documenting traditional household management practices. I sat at kitchen tables. I watched women cook. I watched men come in from the barn and eat meals that cost a fraction of what my family was spending and taste twice as good. What I found was not a set of sacrifices. It was a set of systems, small, repeatable, deeply practical habits that compound over a month into $200, $300, sometimes $400 in savings without a single coupon clipped or a single meal skipped. I brought those habits home. I changed 6 things about the way my household runs. Our grocery bill dropped by $280 in the first month. It has stayed there. Here is what we changed. Habit 1. The Staples Pantry. Buy deep, buy once. Walk into an Amish kitchen and open the pantry. You will find flour in a 25-pound bag, oats in a bulk container, rice, dried beans, lentils, cornmeal, sugar, salt, baking powder. All of it bought in large quantities, stored in sealed containers, and drawn from daily. This is not hoarding. This is the oldest form of grocery economics on earth. Here is the math the modern grocery system does not want you to think about. A 1-pound bag of pinto beans at the grocery store costs $1.89. A 25-pound bag of the same pinto beans from a bulk supplier, a restaurant supply store, or an Amish dry goods store costs $18 to $22. That is roughly 80 cents a pound versus $1.89 a pound. And dried beans are one of the most calorie-dense, protein-rich, versatile foods a family can eat. The same math applies to flour, oats, rice, lentils, cornmeal, and sugar. Every single one of these staples costs between 40 and 60% less per pound when bought in bulk than when bought in 1-pound or 2-pound grocery store packages. A family that builds a Staples pantry over 2 to 3 months and then draws from it daily, using flour to make bread instead of buying bread, using dried beans instead of canned beans, using oats instead of boxed cereal. cuts the per-meal cost of every breakfast and most dinners by 30 to 50%. The upfront cost is real. Stocking a staples pantry from scratch costs $80 to $120, but that pantry then feeds a family for 2 to 3 months with no restocking of those items. The weekly grocery run becomes smaller. The number of times you need to buy flour or oats or beans drops from weekly to monthly to quarterly. The Amish do not think of the pantry as a storage space. They think of it as a bank account. You deposit into it when prices are right and you withdraw from it daily. Every withdrawal is money you are not spending at the grocery store that week. Start with these 5: flour, oats, dried beans, rice, and sugar. Buy the largest quantity you can store. Calculate what you currently spend on those same items in small packages across a month. The gap between what you spent and what you will spend is the first piece of your $300. Habit 2. The whole chicken rule. In the Amish household I spent the most time with, the Stoltzfus family outside of Lancaster, a single chicken fed the family across 3 meals and a pot of soup. Roasted on Sunday. The leftover meat pulled and used in a casserole on Monday. The carcass boiled on Tuesday with carrots, celery, and onion into a stock that became soup on Wednesday. 1 chicken, 4 meals, a family of 6. At the grocery store, a whole chicken costs $1.20 to $1.60 per pound. A 5-pound bird runs $6 to $8. 4 meals from $8 is $2 per meal for a family of 6. Now look at what most families buy instead. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts at $4.99 to $6.99 a pound. Pre-marinated chicken strips at $7 or $8 for a pound and a half. Rotisserie chicken, convenient, but at $9 to $12 per bird with no carcass left for stock because it has already been picked over and the bones are thrown away with the packaging. The modern grocery system has done something very clever. It has separated the chicken into parts, added processing and packaging cost to each part, and sold us the convenience of not having to deal with a whole bird. We pay a premium for that convenience every single time, and we do not notice because we never see the math laid out in a row. The whole chicken rule is simple. Buy whole birds. Roast the whole bird. Use the leftover meat. Boil the carcass for stock. Never throw away a bone that still has flavor in it. This single habit, applied consistently, reduces a family's meat spending by $40 to $80 per month depending on how much meat they currently buy and in what form. That is the second piece of your $300. And before I go further, if you grew up watching a grandmother do this automatically, without thinking, and you stopped doing it somewhere along the way because packaged chicken is easier to find than a whole bird, you already know this works. The question is just whether you want to go back to it. Habit 3. The bake once week. The average American family spends between $30 and $50 per month on bread alone. Sliced sandwich bread, dinner rolls, burger buns, the occasional baguette, tortillas, crackers, muffins from the bakery section. Every one of those items has a homemade equivalent that costs between 1/5 and 1/10 of the store price. A loaf of homemade sandwich bread costs approximately 30 to 40 cents in ingredients. A store loaf of decent bread costs $4 to $6. A batch of homemade tortillas, 16 of them, costs about 25 cents in flour, water, salt, and lard or oil. A pack of 12 store tortillas costs $3.50 to $4.50. In Amish households, 1 morning per week is baking morning. Bread for the week, a batch of rolls or biscuits, sometimes crackers, sometimes a pie if there is fruit available. Everything done in one session, using the oven once, cooling on racks before noon. The modern objection to this is time, and it is a fair objection. Baking takes time. But baking morning in the Amish household does not mean the cook is standing at the counter for 3 hours. Bread dough takes 5 minutes to mix. Then it rises for an hour while other things happen. 5 minutes to shape. Another rise, into the oven while lunch is made. The active time is perhaps 25 minutes. The passive time is the bread doing what bread does on its own. 1 baking morning per week, producing bread, and 1 or 2 other items saves the average family $25 to $45 per month on the grocery bill. Applied consistently, it is the third piece of your $300. Habit 4. Buy the ugly produce. This is the counterintuitive one. I told you number 4 would feel wrong. Here it is. The most expensive produce in any grocery store is the most beautiful produce. Uniform size, perfect color, no blemishes. Every apple the same diameter, every pepper the same shade of red. This produce is expensive not because it tastes better, but because it photographs better, stacks better on a shelf, and conforms to a cosmetic standard that has nothing to do with flavor or nutrition. 30% of all produce grown in the United States is rejected before it ever reaches a grocery store shelf because it does not meet cosmetic standards. A carrot with 2 legs, a tomato with a slight flat side, a pepper with a small soft spot that represents 20 minutes of spoilage risk, not a ruined vegetable. The Amish do not buy produce by how it looks. They buy it by what it is. At a farmer's market, at a roadside stand, at a discount grocery store, at the marked-down rack in the back of a produce section, the ugly fruit and the irregular vegetable cost 30 to 50% less and taste identical or better than the perfect ones. Mrs. Beeler, a woman I spoke with outside of Intercourse, Pennsylvania, buys her produce almost exclusively from the discount rack at a grocery store 2 towns over. She goes once a week. She spends $12 to $15. She comes home with enough vegetables for the week for a family of 5 because the discount rack is priced to move, not to look good on Instagram. Her system: she knows which vegetables hold for a week with no processing: carrots, cabbage, beets, onions, potatoes, winter squash, and which ones need to be cooked or preserved within 2 days of purchase: tomatoes, peppers, leafy greens, berries. She buys accordingly. Nothing is wasted because she planned for what she bought. The average family that shops primarily for cosmetically perfect produce and then lets a portion of it go soft and throw it away at the end of the week is paying the highest possible price for a percentage of food they never eat. Shift to ugly produce, discount racks, and farmers market end-of-day markdowns, and a family of 4 saves $40 to $70 per month on produce alone. That is the 4th piece of your $300, and I told you it would feel wrong. It does not feel wrong after the first month of doing it. Habit 5. The stock pot is not optional. In every Amish kitchen I visited, there was a stock pot. Not decorative, not occasional, in use. On the back of the stove, most days of the week, something is simmering. Vegetable scraps saved from the week's cooking, onion skins, celery tops, carrot peels, the ends of leeks, the stems of parsley, go into the pot with water and cook down into stock. The stock goes into everything: into soup, into the water that cooks rice or beans, into the braising liquid for meat, into gravies and sauces and casseroles. The modern equivalent of this stock costs between $3 and $5 per carton at the grocery store. Most families buy 2 to 4 cartons a month. That is $6 to $20 in purchased stock every month, made from ingredients that are already in your kitchen, that you are currently throwing in the compost or the trash. The stock pot habit does not save a fortune on its own, but it is the habit that represents the larger principle that runs through every Amish kitchen I visited. Nothing that still has value leaves the kitchen unused. Parmesan rinds go into the soup pot. The fat skimmed from the roasted chicken goes into a jar for cooking. Stale bread goes into breadcrumbs or bread pudding. The last 2 tablespoons of jam in the jar get rinsed out with a splash of vinegar and become a salad dressing. This principle, use everything that has value, is not deprivation. It is not poverty thinking. It is the understanding that the grocery bill is not just what you spend at the store. It is also what you throw away, and most American households throw away between $150 and $200 worth of food every month. Halve that waste and you have saved $75 to $100 before changing a single shopping habit. The stock pot is where the waste reduction habit starts. It is the 5th piece of your $300. Habit 6. The 1-page meal plan. Done on Sunday in 10 minutes. Every family I spoke with in Lancaster County planned their meals before they shopped. Not on an app, not in a spreadsheet, on a piece of paper or in a small notebook written out on Sunday morning before the week began. Breakfast, Monday through Sunday, oatmeal 4 days, eggs 3 days. Lunch, soup from the stock pot and bread from baking morning. Dinners, 7 dinners planned, ingredients listed, nothing bought that does not belong to a meal already decided. This sounds ordinary. It is not ordinary in practice because the average American household does not do it. The average household shops without a specific plan, buys what looks good or what is on sale without knowing if it fits into a meal, and then stands in front of the refrigerator at 6 p.m. 3 nights a week with no idea what to cook, and orders pizza, or picks up fast food, or buys a rotisserie chicken and a bag of salad. Those unplanned meals cost between $15 and $35 each. 3 of them a week is $45 to $105 in emergency food spending that would not exist with a one-page plan written on Sunday morning. The plan does not have to be complicated. 7 dinners, 7 lunches, 7 breakfasts. A shopping list that contains only what those meals require. Nothing more. The Amish do not think of meal planning as discipline. They think of it as basic household management. The same way you would not build a house without a plan, you do not feed a family without one. 1 page, 10 minutes on Sunday, stops the emergency spending, stops the waste from buying without purpose, stops the rotation of the same 5 meals because nobody planned for anything different. This single habit, the simplest of the 6, saves the average family $60 to $120 per month in unplanned spending and food waste. It is the 6th piece of your $300, and unlike everything else on this list, it costs nothing and takes 10 minutes. The clothes. Let me add it up for you the way I have been tracking it in my own household. Staples pantry buying, $40 to $80 saved per month. Whole chicken rule, $40 to $80 saved per month. Baking morning, $25 to $45 saved per month. Ugly produce, $40 to $70 saved per month. Stock pot and waste reduction, $75 to $100 saved per month. Sunday meal plan, $60 to $120 saved per month. Conservative end of every range, $280 per month. Middle of every range, $340 per month. The $300 figure in the title of this video is the honest middle. None of these 6 habits require a farm. None require canning equipment. None require a lifestyle you do not already have. They require changing 6 specific behaviors that the modern grocery system quietly and consistently has trained us out of over the past 40 years. The Amish did not keep these habits because they are old-fashioned. They kept them because they work, because the math has never changed, because a chicken still has a carcass that makes stock, because bread flour still costs 30 cents a loaf when you make it yourself, because ugly carrots still taste like carrots. Start with one habit this week, just one. I would start with the meal plan because it takes 10 minutes and costs nothing, and it makes every other habit easier to build on top of. Then tell me in the comments which of the 6 surprised you most. My guess is it will be number 4, the ugly produce one. It always is. And if your grandmother did any of these things without thinking about them, the stock pot, the whole chicken, the baking morning, share that in the comments. Because the habits that were passed down without names are exactly the ones worth naming now. Subscribe to Jacob's Farmstead for the next video, where I am going to show you the exact pantry setup that makes the Staples system work in a modern kitchen, including the containers, the quantities to start with, and the 5 staples that give you the highest return on the first $30 you spend. Until then, write the meal plan on Sunday. Use the whole chicken. Make the stock. The $300 is already in your kitchen. It is just leaving before you can keep it.